Hi team, welcome back to another episode, and it's just me, different scenario, different scene, different studio. It's quite nice to be back at my desk actually, because I can have notes up and actually make it a bit more structured and flowed. Today's just about 16 minutes long. It's short, sharp, punchy. A couple of thoughts that I've had from the week, and it's around love versus fear and how we recognize it, and why it's important to be able to recognize it, and what do we look out for, essentially, because I think sometimes we don't know what love feels like. So I just go on a little chat around it, and hopefully it's going to benefit you in one way or another. And even if it doesn't immediately, it's a principle that your mind can work on. So when you start to recognize it, you go, oh, is this what love is like? And you build some momentum into it. Okay, so also get excited for life. I do speak about it like Steve Irwin style. Have a great day. Enjoy the episode, and pass. Do someone a favor and pass this episode on to them if you think it's going to benefit. It obviously helps me grow the podcast, and can help someone else in a way. Okay, enjoy. Once there was a young warrior. Her teacher told her that she had to do battle with fear. She didn't want to do that. It seemed too aggressive. It was scary. It seemed unfriendly. But the teacher said she had to do it, and gave her the instructions for the battle. The day arrived. The student warrior stood on one side, and fear stood on the other. The warrior was feeling very small, and fear was looking very big and wrathful. They both had their weapons. The young warrior roused herself and went forward toward fear, prostrated 3 times, and asked, "May I have permission to go into battle with you?" Fear said, "Thank you for showing me so much respect that you asked permission." Then the young warrior said, "How can I defeat you?" Fear replied, "My weapons are that I talk fast and I get very close to your face. Then you get completely unnerved and you do whatever I say. If you don't do what I tell you, I have no power. You can listen to me and you can have respect for me. You can even be convinced by me. But if you don't do what I say, I have no power." In that way, the student warrior learned how to defeat fear. That's from Pema Chodron, When Things Fall Apart. So welcome back to the Identity Human podcast. And yes, it is me, Don. And yes, we are somewhere different, which is back at my computer. But I thought I'd like to change it up. And why not? It gets me in front of all my ornaments, like my Thor's hammer. And it's good to have you guys back. But in all seriousness, I decided I nearly didn't do a podcast tonight, an episode, because at the moment, I'm like, there's a lot of noise out there. And am I contributing to that noise, or am I adding value? And again, I'm always very respectful and grateful that you guys that listen to this give up your time. So I want to make sure that this is as effective as can be. And it's not going to be drawn out. So what are we talking about tonight? What am I talking about tonight? Well, I want to introduce 2 core emotions. So if you've read a book called Conversations with God, it says in there that like there's 2 core emotions that you have to recognize that you operate from. It's either love versus fear. And I think that's so interesting to come around, because I think most of us operate in fear and we don't realize that it's fear, because it plays in so many different ways and it holds us back, and we all play small and we don't say it's fear. We just, we want to survive, or we're trying our best, and there's loads of different things that start to come into our mind. And fear is clever, right? And it has its way of wrapping different logical ways and making sure that we stay as small as possible for as long as possible, so we don't achieve our end goal of fulfilling a purpose. Now, how do I explain love? Well, as in, there's fear and then there's love. It probably comes around to, a couple of years ago, or I don't know if I told the story in a podcast, but this is probably how I explain it, right? Is I was at a dinner with a friend and we started to talk about what I was doing. So I said, Identity Human. It's this podcast, the brand's got a digital course, and I'm trying to get the best out of people. And I said, why did you start that? So I said, well, I started it because I used to ask myself, see people ask the question, who am I? And I didn't know, and it scared me. I was very frustrated about it, and and I'd say that fear was there. And when I started coaching, when I was asking people that question, like, who are you? It's one of the basic questions, who are you? And people are like, what do you mean? I'm like, what do you think I mean? And I've had people cry because they don't know. And there's very few people that have given an answer that I'm like that. And so I explained, I said, that's why I started the brand. That's why I started Identity Human, is just to help with that question, like, who am I? And I'm now 2 or 3 years in and I'm loving it. And so they said, oh, amazing. So then they looked at me and they said, so who are you now? And I said, you know what the funny thing is I still don't know, but I love it. Like, I love who I am. I've got so much confidence from it. There's acceptance. There's so many things that wrap around it that I really, that who I am that I'm building, I don't have to define that, right? I just have to feel it. And that's probably the only way that I could describe what does love actually feel like. It's a feeling that until someone asks you about it, you don't recognize you have. And even when you recognize you have it, you then can't explain it. And I've gone with that. So I've been having a couple of conversations, and I just wanted to add a few extras on top of that extract about fear. And that the only thing you have to do is not act upon it, because it's telling you all of these things and you're going to avoid them and I like that. It's always stuck in my mind. But I was having a conversation with someone, and it's all about, I think we have to start to realize, like, are you trying to learn to love yourself by pushing away from something in your past or your present? Because if that's it, then you're operating from fear. Whereas if you're operating from love, it's because you're pulling yourself towards something that you want to embody. And so you're doing it because you love yourself. So I'm going to make this change. I'm going to go to gym. I'm going to read the book. I'm going to start a business. Why? Oh, because I'm sick of not having money. I'm sick of looking overweight. I'm sick of not being healthy. That's not love, right? That's fear, like fear of death, fear of losing money, all those things. It's at the core of it. But if it's love, it's like, well, because I deserve to make money. It's because I deserve to look good, because I love myself enough to treat myself well, regardless of the reason for doing it. And I challenged my dad, and it may have been in the podcast, but I said to him before he left, I was like, why are you doing all the things that you're doing? And he said, oh, it's for my girlfriend and my grandkids and all that kind of stuff. And I said, if I'm being for your advocates, and I'm not challenging for the sake of challenging, but I'm aware that possibly could be fear that you're operating from without even thinking. Like, you've got the best intentions, but is that fear and not love? He said, what do you mean? I said, well, don't you think it might be better to do all of these things for yourself? Because you're doing it because you love yourself, not because you don't want to be a lesser version of yourself. And I said, and then in that way, your girlfriend benefits and your grandkids benefit. Because if you love yourself, that energy comes out, that confidence, that the way you connect with people, all of that comes out when you're operating from a base of love. And he took it on. He was like, actually, it's a really good point. But this takes me to the second layer of this is, I don't think we've ever learned to love ourselves. And I've had loads of conversations with my mom and my dad, and I think that's lacking, is we don't know what it means to love ourselves. I think the majority of people that I've interacted with or that I see, and I could be hanging out with the wrong people, I doubt it because I love the people I hang out with, is I don't think we've learned to love ourselves. I think we've learned to survive, and we're very good at being resilient, and we're very good at doing things because we're going to get a certain outcome. Start a business because you want to make more money, because you don't want to be going mouth to mouth, right? So that's not love. Again, there's like, yes, I can do it, but it's out of fear, it's out of survival. I think we've always learned to motivate ourselves away from something rather than motivate ourselves towards something. So there's a difference. I think if you ever talked about or saw people talking about internal versus external motivation, and obviously there's internal as you do it for yourself, external as you do it for something. And I think fear is an external motivator, as we had put it, but the love is internal. Like, if someone says to you, why are you working so hard? It's like, I've got a vision of who I want to be. Like, I love myself, and that's what I'm working towards. And if I was to add a little bit more onto that, I would just say, maybe we can consider fear as a short-term positive, long-term negative, because it makes you achieve survivability at the level that you think you're happy with your Maslow's needs for survival. Like, I'll make £10,000 this month. I'll make £5,000 this month. I'll make £3,000 a month because that's what I need to be happy. It's like, well, that's your bare minimum, right? So we don't think even bigger. It's like that short-term positive of getting what we need is great. But the long-term negative is you're always chasing just exactly what you need. You never think, well, I actually deserve more, and genuinely feel that, like embody that. Whereas love, I think it's almost the opposite, where it's a short-term negative, long-term positive. What I mean by that is, like, you start to learn to love yourself, there's a lot of hard choices that you have to make. You have to be able to be challenged by friends. You have to be able to challenge friends. You have to be able to challenge social circles, hold opinions. But more importantly, you have to be so consistent within yourself, and you have to build up trust. And that's hard. Like building up trust in yourself when you don't have any trust, or love in yourself when you don't have it. It's hard because it's committing to the things you said you're going to do. It's doing the deep work, if that's the route that you've chosen. It's doing the journaling. It's doing the meditation. It's connecting with people. It's saying your sorries. It's building bridges that you burnt down before. It's taking responsibility for everything, because that's what you do when you start to love yourself, and you leave nothing in the past that you can affect to bring into who you are. And I think that's where it's like, it seems like a short-term negative, but if you do a year, 2, 3, 4, 5, however long of those short-term negatives, they add up to this like immense positive outcome that you can't necessarily explain or see, because you're so deeply in it that you're blind to it. But if you look around and someone asks you a question, you just take a moment to breathe and look back, you start to be like, oh my goodness, like I can't believe where I've come from and where I am now, and I love it. Like I'm so proud of myself. I think like I've been reflecting on that journey now, and I just wanted to like add in here, like I was thinking about how would I talk about reinvigorating the excitement for life. So I always have the Steve Irwin, crocodile hunter type of energy in my head for the future. Like that's the kind of energy that I want, because he talked about crocodiles. Like who likes crocodiles and snakes and spiders? Like genuinely, I know there's a small portion of people that love them, but no one in their right mind thinks crocodiles are a beautiful creature that you can love. But you watch Steve Irwin and you suddenly like, I think that crocodile's got something about it. Like I love it. I'm not sure what's happening, but it's because his energy was just so enthusiastic about life. It's like he was committed to the cause. He was passionate, and he put that out in that energy. It was pure love. And I always think like that's something that we've all we got to strive for. Like, because there's so many people walking around and shoulders hunched, head down, going from one thing to the next, doubting ourselves, not believing what we can, or, when someone tries to believe in us, we just go, oh, no, that's not real. That's unrealistic. Stop setting people up to fail. And I just think, like, when did we lose that? Like, when did we lose that? Because we find that again when death is near and people have a chance to live their life. If they've got 6 months left to live and they're just going, right, I'm just going to do it for myself. And they're completely free of the burdens that they used to carry, which is they're completely free of fear. Going to die, so I'm just going to do it anyway. Why not get ourselves into that position before we're about to die, so that we can live that level of life and inspire people around us? And I think like I'm looking for those people. Like, where are they? Where are the people that have got that attitude that I can take that and embody it, so that I can give it back to and also learn from? Because I think we are the sum of the parts and all that. Like, they are the people that you surround yourself. Birds of a feather flock together. So you can do it on your own. It's hard, but if you do it with other people, you start to bounce off each other. And I think that's going to be something that I'm really looking for. Maybe 2026 is like how you keep that passion for life ignited, no matter who you interact with. Because I think those people you interact with need that passion. But if their viewpoint that's kind of like, oh no, none of that's real, doesn't exist, or let's be realistic, they actually need you to challenge that in that moment, so that it flips them out of that negative rhythm. So maybe that can be you if you're listening to this. And then just a last point that I'm going to add on to this, like I said, it's going to be short, sharp, is if you don't learn to accept all the parts of your past, then you won't be whole in whichever direction you choose to build in the future. So, for example, if you have something that you're ashamed about in your past and you don't learn to accept that and love that, love, then that shame will still exist in the future. And it's a journey, by the way. It's not like you can sit down tomorrow, accept all the bits of your past, and then suddenly start to love yourself. Well, maybe you can. If you do figure it out, please let me know. Because there's going to be iterations of self. Life's always changing, personality clusters, all that kind of stuff. And you're going to keep evolving, developing, changing, moving along sideways, forwards, backwards, upwards, down. And there'll be new things that you discover you're still holding on to. And I think the point is, like, instead of going, oh, that's in my past, this is why I do this, is going like, okay, I've got to love that. I've got to love that part about me because it got me to where I am. And you embrace that. So it's like, I've said it before, is like, if you think about that inner child principle, think about any past memory that haunts you, or that holds you back, or that reinforces a negative reason why you can't do something. Like, pretend that's like an inner child version of self or a younger version of self that needs you as the older to go back and be like, bro, you've done so well. Like, I know that it sucked in this moment and it didn't seem good, but you will never believe the places we get to. Why don't you come and see? And just embody that version. It's like, it's just being, that's where that authenticity and not needing strength to be like that starts to come in. I think just, if you've got bits of your past that you haven't embraced, like, go and embrace them. Like, go for it. Essentially, it's like lean into the shadow parts of yourself. So I was talking to someone the other day, and if you're trying to do something and then you've got a negative voice in your head, instead of going, oh, there's that negative voice in my head, just go, okay, well, what do you mean? Talk to it. I know it sounds like kind of schizo, or you might be going to a mental asylum. Don't do it out loud, but just ask it questions, ask that voice questions, because that's kind of goes back to the poem or extract at the beginning, is like, you can respect fear, you can talk to it, you can ask questions, just don't do what it says. And I think if you start to lean into the shadow parts of yourself, the voices, the negative voices, the inner critic and all that kind of stuff, and you just have a conversation, soon you'll find that they might actually just have your back, or they're just scared of something. It's just fear. And you just have to chat to it, ask questions, be curious, and just not act on the things that it's trying to get you to act on, or act on the things it's trying to get you to not act on. Who knows? That was on my mind. I've been having a couple of conversations, and that's all I wanted to speak about. And I think, 16 minutes in, short, sharp, punchy, it's a message to someone out there. And there's so much more depth to this. But if this has helped, ask a question on the comments, send an email, like a reply, or send this to someone who you think is operating in fear and may benefit from just insight into that. Actually, you don't have to operate in fear. Like, just let's go look for love. Love, love, love. Okay. Well, thank you very much for listening, guys and girls. And I really appreciate your time, effort, and I hope you enjoy the change of scenery. And you've got your own little fidget toys, not as good as the Thor hammers, though, because we're going to keep the project going. Like I always say, remember, Ubuntu, we are who we are through others. That doesn't mean we focus on everyone else. It means that everyone else is who they are because of you. So therefore, work on you and watch everyone else benefit. Okay? Right. I appreciate you. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon.